I'd like to thank Mr. Thomas for his compelling words. There are some who might suppose that all of this is just a matter of luck, but I think Mr. Thomas has it just right. Chance favors those who are most prepared, and you have been among the best prepared of law school graduates this year. Our second student speaker is chosen by the third year council, which holds a competition at the end of each year to determine who will speak for the class. This year, no different than in prior years, there were numerous who wanted to speak, to have this privilege. And ultimately, a competition was held via YouTube, and the third year students voted. The student selected this year received the Dean's Scholarship all 3 years, placed in the semifinals of a moot court competition, was a teaching assistant for legal research and writing and for moot court, and received her undergraduate degree magna cum laude from UCLA. Her experience prior to attending law school includes working as a freelance writer, where she wrote a script for Target and an online ad campaign, and as a consultant, where she prepared a business plan for an international automotive venture. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Leighton Davis.
Thank you, Dean Wu, for making me sound so awesome. Good afternoon, graduates, family, friends, professors, adjunct professors, teaching assistants, deans, UC regents, board of directors, maintenance staff, Lutherans, Federalists, twins, robots, workaholics, alcoholics, rageaholics, less successful siblings.
That's my joke.
Perverts, vegans, loan officers, bounty hunters, process servers, bros, hipsters, and everyone who thinks they're at the Bill Graham Auditorium for the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. Welcome. Graduation is a time of reflection. While finishing college raised the grand question of what to do with my life, finishing law school has raised questions that are both petty and alarming, like whether I'll still be paying off my loans when I'm a grandparent, and whether my skin tone will ever return to a healthy shade. However, the question at the forefront of my mind is this: what happened to me? When did I become obnoxious? Exactly how boring am I? I used to be funny. I went to parties and I made someone interesting conversation. I could talk to musicians and actors and people who didn't know what they were going to do with their lives, and I could think of questions to ask them. I spent time with my friends, and I talked to them for hours about everything and nothing. And then something changed. It's not that I don't care about you anymore, non-law student person. It's just that I am very busy. And whatever I am working on is more important than what you are working on. I want to hear about your problem, but I need it to fit into a specific category. For example, we can talk about how you hate your job, but I'm going to need some specific details. Is your boss sexually harassing you? Do you have any inappropriate emails that he sent you? Because we're going to need more than just your word on this. Oh, he's not paying your overtime? Are you keeping a detailed log of your hours like I told you to? Or we can talk about your recent engagement. Are you signing a prenup? Have you considered getting married before the end of the fiscal year in order to take advantage of all the tax benefits? We can talk about other fun things too, like whether you have a will or a durable power of attorney. Or if you'd prefer, we can argue, and I can grill you with details until you walk away. When did this happen, you might ask? I started classes on August 25th, 2008, but the symptoms didn't manifest until I flew home for Thanksgiving. When my sister picked me up at LAX, I thanked her for waiting around all day so that she could pick me up at the airport and drive me an hour south to Orange County. She said, "You're welcome, I had to wait around for 8 hours." I reminded her that technically she had only waited for 7 hours. We proceeded to fight for 3 straight days. I had another flare-up a year later when I attended a party in LA full of directors, photographers, and fashion designers. Objectively, a very interesting group of people. I found myself talking to a woman who owned a fashion boutique, and within the first 2 minutes I discovered that she was being sued. I asked uncomfortable probing questions about whether everyone had already lawyered up, and how long she expected this to go on in light of how jammed our court system is right now. For some reason, this conversation stressed her out, and she left to talk to someone else. But it was the most interesting conversation I had all night. I realized my transformation into an adult devoid of social skills was complete recently when I was having lunch with my mom and discussing federal drug law. To really make my point about the differences between common law and statutory law, I pulled an 8-page statute out of my purse and proceeded to read the whole thing. Her eyes glazed over, but I pressed on, aware of my actions but unable to stop. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that all of you venture out into the real world during these things people call weekends, and I know it doesn't go well. And so we all hang out together. And if you think interacting with one law student is bad, try a whole group of us. On our own, we're socially awkward and strangely difficult, but in a group, we're smug. Yes, I make jokes about the Constitution. They're not funny, but I'm going to make them anyway, because I'm so proud of myself for thinking of them. And yes, I now love the sound of my own voice. Is there better proof of that than speaking at graduation? And yes, my idea of a party is drinking beer in a hotel room after a moot court competition and discussing insurance law. I wish I could say I made up that example, but it happened and I can't take it back. But I have some good news. From what I've been told, the social awkwardness will go away, and the smugness may or may not dissipate with time, though I'm not holding my breath for some of you. But here's some results from the last 3 years that won't go away. We can now see both sides of every story. We can think critically about difficult issues, and more importantly, we can make a decision. We can read and type faster than we ever thought we would need to. We can withstand an incredible amount of stress, and then forget about it and relax 5 minutes later. We've acquired a real skill set, and some of us have been given the chance to put it into practice in real cases, by arguing motions and recommending rulings to judges. We've even purchased moral character from the California State Bar Association for the low price of $476. It's like they're giving it away. There's a reason why we only talk about the law. It's because as much as we complain, we found something to be good at and a group of like-minded people to share it with. That's why we chose law school, that's why we chose Hastings, and that's why we're celebrating here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Davis. By tradition, the graduating class also elects a member of the faculty to deliver farewell remarks. This year, the class chose James Wagstaff. Professor Wagstaff graduated from UC Hastings himself in 1980, clerking for U.S. District Judge